Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 20 of the Halftime Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Reese Kinder, and today we're firing on all cylinders. We're going to be breaking down week 2 of the college football season and the latest AP poll, and also a look ahead to a week 3 college football season, plus some big takeaways from NFL week 1. But let's lace up and dive in and get to this first segment. What is up, everybody? And week 2 of college football season has officially ended. Last week I was watching the Auburn and Ball State game in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I mean, it's so glad to be back with college football again. I mean, college football just missed it. I mean, obviously the first week before that we had college football, but you know what I mean. Like back in the stadium, back in the atmosphere like that. But gonna start off with our first segment, college football week 2 recap. Week 2, brought drama, brought some buzzer beaters, and some statement performances. The only top 25 matchup, two top 25 teams playing, was Oklahoma and Michigan. Number 18 Oklahoma and number 15 Michigan. This was a big game too. I mean, because we didn't really know much about what John Mateer and the Sooners had, and we also didn't know what Michigan and Bryce Underwood had. And first, going into this game. I think, if you look back at it, you just got to be like, well, Michigan didn't look good at all. I mean, that was Michigan's performance was definitely something that stood out to me. It looked like they were just, not an aggressive Michigan that we usually see. This Michigan team looked like they were probably, unable to get the ball downfield. Unlike those teams we've seen in the past from Jim Harbaugh. I think since Jim Harbaugh's left, Michigan's definitely fallen way off. I mean, obviously you expect that from a team like Michigan, but I feel like that just showed right there against Oklahoma. Oklahoma to me did not really impress me. They weren't really that impressive, but still got a pretty good win against a good Michigan team because John Mateer played outstanding. I mean, the showdown many expected, but few predicted Oklahoma would actually pull it off. A lot of people predicted that Michigan would pull it off, and even myself too. I mean, that's one of the picks we got wrong last week. Actually, you'll see the picks come out after this episode is published or during the publishing of the episode. But yeah, I went 5-5 last week with my picks. But I do think Oklahoma has a lot of learning. It's a lot of learning. It's kind of getting a kid to ride a bicycle without the training wheels. First you ride with the training wheels for a little bit, and then you're going to slowly get to that point to where you got to just, we can't hold your hand anymore. You got to do it by yourself. And I think Oklahoma's at that point where Brent Venables is really on the hot seat if he doesn't get things done there in Norman. And I think this is a big statement for him and the Sooners early on in the season. But yeah, Oklahoma won 24 to 13, big win for the Sooners in this early part of the college football season, and definitely was an eye catcher on Saturday for sure. And another eye catcher, which honestly I did not expect this. I thought Arizona State was way better than I thought they were way better than most people give them credit for, but when they played on Saturday, they did not show up at all. I really don't know what happened. I mean, Mississippi State played outstanding that entire game, and it obviously showed. I mean, Mississippi State won this game 24-20 with a crazy play with a late touchdown from Blake Shapen. And I mean, it was outstanding. I mean, it was 3rd and 9, and Blake Shapen throws this ball really far, and Mississippi State's able to come down with it and end up scoring with, I believe, about 30-ish seconds to go. But yeah, this game, I mean, it looked like Mississippi State was going to pull away from it, but then Arizona State ended up coming back and actually taking the lead 20-17. But then Mississippi State, Blake Shapen, played outstanding and was able to find a way to win against the Sun Devils. Because, I mean, if you look at this game too, Sam Levitt did not have a good game at all. I mean, that was a disgusting performance from Sam Levitt, and I was very disappointed in the Sun Devils for the way they performed. I mean, you got to look and see that, like, the Sun Devils were able to, pull off this, or the Bulldogs were able to pull off this upset, but still, I mean, like, it showed that the Sun Devils really, in my opinion, I don't know if they're ready for Big 12 play. I mean, this Sun Devils team I thought was a lot better than advertised, but they came out there and just laid an egg against Mississippi State and Starkville. And I mean, that's one thing I did say last week on the episode. I was like, well, Mississippi State and Arizona State could be a good game because Mississippi State was playing at home. And I mean, Mississippi State the past few years has been the dog, like they've just been dog crap in the SEC. And you're like, oh, well, Arizona State's got this in the bag. Mississippi State hasn't really been good in a few years now. But yeah, Blake Shapen came out there, got the job done. But this Mississippi State team, I want to talk about them for a second too. Like what they did, they put themselves in a position where they're going to start the season probably 4-0, and most likely they're going to be in a position to where they could possibly be ranked by week 5, which would be insane to say considering Mississippi State was like projected to win 2 games this year. They were literally projected to win 2 games, and they got to their win total. But yeah, the Bulldogs were able to pull off a big win from Blake Shapen's huge game in Starkville. And I'll be really interested to see what this Mississippi State team can do down the road and hopefully continue to do what they've been doing. But yeah, Mississippi State stuns Arizona State on Saturday, and big win for Jeff Levy as the head coach there with Mississippi State. And then moving on to the third, like, I guess you could say recap of the third part of the recap that we're doing, third and last part of it, I would say. But in the Big 12, I mean, Baylor, we saw they lost to Auburn week 1 of the season. Not a bad loss, only lost by 14 points. Baylor was actually trailing in this game, and they ended up somehow coming back and winning in double overtime. And yeah, this Baylor team just continues to impress me. I mean, Sawyer Robinson threw for 450 passing yards in this game against SMU. And SMU, I mean, not a bad team either. Kevin Jennings has a pretty solid reputation around the college football world with his obviously heroics last year in the ACC championship game to almost win it, but came up short. And then also in the playoff game, Kevin Jennings looked a little decent as well. But, I mean, if you look at this, well, actually, the playoff game, that was my bad. No, he looked terrible. But, yeah, if you look at this, I mean, like, Baylor, in my opinion, like I said, at the start of the year, I was like, well, Chandler actually from Atlas Sports was like, I think Baylor could win the Big 12. And to me, it's looking like he's right because Baylor had a solid showing against SMU. I mean, even against Auburn, they scored 24 points and Sawyer Robinson threw for 419 yards. And this Baylor team, not any team to mess around with, because I can tell you this, in Big 12 play, Baylor is going to come to play. Like, if you're a ranked team and you're playing Baylor, I would be scared, like, for you, like, just in general, because you might lose that game against Baylor. And I'll be very interested to see what the Bears can do down the road. But Baylor, hopefully next week can get ranked. I feel like they should have been ranked after this week, but I guess give them another week since they lost to Auburn. If they win this weekend against Samford, which they should, I see them in the top 25. But yeah, huge game between the Baylor Bears and SMU. A thrilling double overtime win for Baylor. But yeah, those are some of the biggest games I saw personally on Saturday from college football. The slate wasn't necessarily like as good as I thought it was going to be, but yeah, I definitely think some of those games right there stood out. And talking about transfer portal too, like gonna go to transfer portal stars really quick. Let's talk about Virginia's former quarterback, Anthony Calalandra. I don't even know how to say that name, but I think it's Colalandra. But he threw for 3 touchdowns against UCLA, and that was a big game too because Nico Imaliava's second game with UCLA. It was interesting to see what he would do, but he drops another one for the Bruins, and it looks like Nico Imaliava's choice to move schools did not work out too much, and it looks like that was a bad decision for Imaliava in the first place. But yeah, that's going to do it for the first segment of this show, College Football Week 2 recap. not much to talk about. A lot of like things we saw, a lot of things I saw personally kind of was predicted last week. I like Illinois. I thought was going to beat Duke. I thought it was going to be a little bit closer than that, but Illinois was able to get the job done, and Illinois looked like a top 10 team, which they are a top 10 team, which we will talk about here in a second, actually. Um, but yeah, those really stood out to me the most. But yeah, hopefully next week we have a lot more to talk about with the college football recap for sure. But I'm going to jump into our second segment of the evening, which is the AP Top 25. This came out on Sunday. Last week, week one, it came out on Tuesday. That's because, we had Monday games, Sunday games, all that, etc. But this time we get the actual AP poll that comes out on Sundays. And your top 10, looking at your top 10 right now, you have Ohio State, Penn State, LSU, Oregon, Miami, Georgia, Texas, Notre Dame, Illinois, and Florida State. Ohio State received 57 first place votes after dismantling Grambling. I mean, we figured that was going to happen. It was 70-0 the score was. So Ohio State looked pretty good in their showing. I figured they would stay the same. Penn State received 5 first place votes, also 2-0 on their season. LSU, 2 votes. Oregon now in the top 5 after a dominant performance, I would say, against Oklahoma State, 69-3 in Eugene. That was a good win for the Ducks. Good showing from Dante Moore. Looked very poised out there with the way he was playing. So I was very excited to see him air the ball out a lot against a decent team in Oklahoma State. But Mike Gundy's hot seat just keeps getting hotter the way Oklahoma State's playing. And then Miami holds at 5. They stay at 5 after only beating Bethune-Cookman 42-3. So not that impressive. So just keep them there. And Georgia actually slips a few spots to number 6 after an underwhelming win against Austin Peay. I mean, only won 28-6, but it was rainy, so I'm not going to hold that against them. We'll see how they do this weekend against Tennessee, which we will highlight later. And then Texas obviously stayed the same. Not a dominant showing from the Longhorns. Only 38-7 win against San Jose State. So I was not very pleased with the Longhorns, but they still kept their spot at 7. Notre Dame, despite being 0-1, stays at 8. I mean, only lost to Miami, so I don't hold that against them. They play Texas A&M this weekend, and we're also going to talk about that later on the show. And then Illinois cracks the top 10, its highest ranking since late 2001. And Illinois, I mean, just continues to impress me. Luke Altmaier looked very, very good against Duke and was able to throw the ball efficiently. And Illinois looks pretty solid. Looks like a solid Big Ten contender this season. And hopefully they stay in that top 10 range for mainly the whole season. I hope they stay up there. And then Florida State cracks the top 10 after another great showing, beating East Texas A&M. Florida State, moved up 4 spots to number 10, their highest ranking since preseason 2024 last year. So got back in to the top 10 after last year starting 10th and losing to Georgia Tech. So we'll see how the Seminoles do in that top 10 spot. But yeah, I mean, looking pretty solid here. The top 10. Nothing really like stood out except Georgia, slipping and Florida State coming into the top 10. But yeah, top 10 looks fine to me. A lot of people are criticizing the AP poll, but I feel like that was a pretty solid AP poll for the top 10. And then a few more notable movers. Oklahoma obviously jumps up. They jump up to 13 after taking down Michigan in Norman. Pretty, like I said, Oklahoma getting close to that top 10 spot, and they're 1 week away from playing Auburn in Norman. So they play Temple this weekend at Temple. So that would be very interesting if Oklahoma wins. They'll probably move up to about 11th, maybe 10th, depending on what some other teams do. And then Tennessee leaps 7 spots at number 15 after defeating East Tennessee State University. And Tennessee all the way up to number 15, like I said. So you get a number 6 Georgia versus number 15 Tennessee this weekend. We will highlight that in a few minutes. And then Texas A&M and Ole Miss both advantage a few spots up. Texas A&M moved to 16 and Ole Miss moved to 17. But Ole Miss, didn't look that impressive to me against Kentucky, but was able to pull out a win. Very, very surprising from Ole Miss to get a win against Kentucky. I thought that was going to be a upset possibly. And then Texas A&M didn't look too good against Utah State, but still moves up 3 spots in the rankings, and they will play Notre Dame on Saturday. And then the last team I want to highlight, we forgot to do this in the week 2 recap actually, but South Florida breaks into the rankings at number 18 after upsetting Florida. South Florida, the storyline of the week after beating Florida 18-16 in Gainesville. Nobody thought this game was going to be close. I honestly thought it would be, but not a lot of people thought it'd be close. And the Bulls were able to get the job done. Efficiently, Byron Brown didn't have the best game, but still played pretty solid. And I'm ashamed of Florida. Like that's very sad that Florida lost that game to South Florida. I thought Florida's back. I thought the Billy Napier, fire Billy stuff was over, but it just continues. The cycle repeats itself every day. I mean, for Billy Napier, but South Florida jumps in at 18 after beating Florida, and they do play Miami this weekend, so we will highlight that later on as well, talking about South Florida, Miami in their upcoming matchup on Saturday. And then also a few notable teams that jumped in the rankings. Obviously, Auburn at 24 after beating Ball State 42-3, and then Missouri jumps in the rankings at 25 after a huge comeback win against the Kansas Jayhawks in Columbia, Missouri. So big win for Missouri, and they get the 25th spot. But yeah, Auburn and Missouri jump in as well in that top 25. But yeah, overall, to me, the top 25 looks fine. I know a lot of people were kind of upset with it, but the top 25 looks fine to me. And I'm really interested to see some of these big matchups this upcoming weekend, which we are going to move into here in a second. So let's quickly, right now, get into those Week 3 college football preview. And we're going to look at some of the notable games we have this upcoming weekend. I mean, this weekend's one of those weekends you're like, you're sitting on your couch watching football like every second. I mean, you're watching a game every second. It's going to start. This is where we're going to make our picks, actually. This is going to start with College Game Day's game. Georgia, number 6 Georgia at number 15 Tennessee. And we know Tennessee has not beaten Georgia in, forever. It has been a long time since Tennessee's beaten Georgia. Georgia coming off of a weird game against Austin Peay. Tennessee coming off of a pretty impressive win against East Tennessee State. Gave up 17 points, but still a pretty impressive win for the Vols. And I'm going to have to take Tennessee in this one. I think Tennessee will be able to, establish a good run game. Joey Aguilar is going to be able to establish some of the passing game as well against this Georgia defense. And I feel like Tennessee's defense is just going to be locked in the whole game and be prepared to stop Georgia's offense from getting down the field easily and scoring. And I think the Vols are going to get the job done on game day in Neyland Stadium, one of the loudest stadiums in college football. I think Tennessee's got this one with ease, honestly. I think Tennessee's got it. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Vols in this one against the Bulldogs. And then going to the next game we have, it's another conference game. I mean, there's so many conference games this weekend. It's actually insane. But it's Vandy versus South Carolina. Vanderbilt coming off of a crazy win against Virginia Tech in Lane Stadium. I mean, Vandy was able to score 34 points in the fourth quarter and get a big win against Virginia Tech to move themselves to 2-0. And then South Carolina coming off of a little bit of a shaky performance against South Carolina State. So, this game could be crazy. I think Diego Pavia is going to go crazy in this game, and that's why I'm going to take Vandy in this one to upset number 11 South Carolina at home. I think Vanderbilt is a pretty solid team. I think they're going to be good enough to beat South Carolina and get the job done. So, I'm going to take the Commodores here away, actually. So, I think Vanderbilt's going to start their season 3-0. They'll actually start 5-0 because they play 2 cupcake teams after that. So, yeah, Vanderbilt, I'm looking to start 3-0, and I think it'll be a pretty good game between Vandy and South Carolina. Definitely high scoring for sure. But going to move on to our next game. Our next game up is Wisconsin and Alabama. Obviously, Ryan Williams, if you guys didn't hear the news later or earlier today, today's Wednesday, Ryan Williams is going to be playing against Wisconsin. I don't think it mattered if he did or not. Wisconsin, to me, is not good. The only reason I'm highlighting this game is because it's one of the notable games on the schedule for this week. But yeah, Wisconsin's not that good to me, but I do think it'll be close for like a half. I think it will be like pretty neck and neck, but in the first half. But I think Alabama's going to get the job done. They'll move to 2-1 on the season. And yeah, I do think Alabama, after losing to Florida State 2 weeks ago, I think Bama's going to be able to get their way back to over 500 and be able to beat Wisconsin in this one. So yeah, I think Alabama gets the win with ease. And then this is one game that a lot of people are going to like disagree on me with, but this game to me, I mean, like I've had it down since like the first week. Clemson versus Georgia Tech. Clemson last week, you know, played at home, played Troy, didn't look good, didn't look good at all. 27-16, not a good showing. Georgia Tech didn't look good either against Gardner Webb, but still got the job done. I think Georgia Tech wins this one. Actually, I'm going to say they win it. Because I just don't think Clemson. I think Cade Klubnik's a little overrated this year. I think Cade Klubnik's going to be forced to throw some passes that he usually doesn't, and I think Georgia Tech's going to force some turnovers. And I think Haynes King, if healthy, will be able to efficiently run the ball with the option run he always does. And I think Jamal Haynes as well will be a part of that running game. I think Georgia Tech's going to be able to run the ball down Clemson's throat. And I think Georgia Tech gets a big win here at home, and they will be in the AP poll come week 4 when we highlight it next week. But yeah, I got Georgia Tech. I got the Yellow Jackets to this one. And Haynes King, I think, will be player of the game. And then my next game is also another conference game. This is Florida versus LSU. I'm going to tell you straight up now, LSU is going to win this game easily. I don't have any trust in DJ Lagway because if you didn't watch, okay, so there's Locked On SEC, and they brought the Florida guy on there from Locked On Florida. He like said specifically, he was like, yeah, if you saw like DJ Lagway in the game against South Florida, there was a play where he had a read option and he just chose like he could have ran it and he would have gotten like 30 or 40 yards. He chose to pass into triple coverage and it was incomplete. I mean, like that's a freshman mistake. And DJ Lagway, I know he's young. Like a lot of people are like, oh, he's young, he's learning. But like this is year 2 of Lagway's career, and I feel like Lagway you got to have it down now where you're like, you got to do this, got to do that. Like Florida, still a lot of miscues they're dealing with, and I think LSU, Garrett Nussmeier is going to blow out Florida and get LSU that win. Even though LSU looked pretty sloppy themselves against Louisiana Tech, I think LSU gets a pretty big win here against the Gators. And then another game, another conference game, another SEC game actually on our schedule for picks is Arkansas and Ole Miss. Arkansas and Ole Miss, Arkansas, I have a lot of trust in Taylon Green. I don't have as much trust in Austin Simmons from Ole Miss. And Arkansas, in my opinion, I think can get the job done here against against Ole Miss if things go their way. I mean, it is away, but I do feel like Taylon Green's going to be able to pass the ball and run the ball efficiently. And I think Arkansas gets a big win here because I just don't think Ole Miss is that good. They're not as good as they were last year, where they possibly had a playoff hope, like a college football playoff chance. But yeah, I got the Razorbacks winning this one away, actually, at Ole Miss in Oxford. And then our next game we're going to highlight is Texas A&M and Notre Dame. Texas A&M and Notre Dame. This is in Notre Dame. And Texas A&M, hasn't looked that good against their past 2 opponents, UTSA and Utah State. Notre Dame obviously coming off of the week 1 loss to Miami, had a bye week last week. So going to get a fresh start here at home against Texas A&M. And I think the Fighting Irish are going to be ready, and I think they're going to get a win. I think CJ Carr is going to be able to find his receivers. I think Jeremiah Love's going to get the ball a lot more. And I think the Fighting Irish are going to be able to get a big win against the Aggies here at home on Saturday night at 6:30. So yeah, I'm going to go with Notre Dame here in a big one. And then our last game of the week 3 college football preview that we are going to highlight is South Florida at Miami. This game, the reason I'm highlighting this is because South Florida, just been stellar. Alex Golash has been just insane. And I do really think that this South Florida team is legit. and I think this could be a closer game than most people are expecting it to be. And yeah, I think South Florida is going to be able to get the job done. I'm going to take the upset here. I think they'll be able to get the job done against the Hurricanes and continue this amazing run they've been on as of late. But yeah, I got the Bulls in this one. Go Bulls! Wait, go Bulls! Go Bulls! I'm going to go with the Bulls here. But that is going to do it for Week 3 college football preview. Also, we're going to keep tabs, like I said, on teams like South Florida. Obviously, Baylor, too. We didn't highlight them because they're playing Stanford, but in the next few weeks, we're going to be highlighting Baylor and Auburn, too. Auburn making their way up there along with Missouri. I think we're going to be, Week 3, definitely going to be able to, definitely going to be one to watch for sure because a lot of just outstanding performances yet to come. And also some great games on this slate for Week 3. But I'm really excited to see what we have in store for Week 3 of the college football season. But now, going to move on to football. We're going to stay on football topic, but we are going to move on to NFL Week 1. It did not disappoint. Week 1 was outstanding. I mean, I was bummed because the freaking Panthers suck again. Yet again, they suck, but hopefully they bounce back this week. We'll see. But, yes, Week 1 did not disappoint. And I want to get started with our first headline of the evening for NFL is Daniel Jones. I mean, what a game. I mean, Danny Dimes is back. Had a historic debut for the Colts, blew out the Dolphins, scoring on every possession with 3 touchdowns, throwing 3 passing touchdowns, and 2 rushing touchdowns. First player in Colts history since 2000 to score on every offensive drive. And I mean, Daniel Jones, we've seen the struggles with New York. He had a lot of struggles with New York, but was able to get back on his feet again with a new team. The Colts, Anthony Richardson injured. He comes out there against the Dolphins and just absolutely balls out. And what an outstanding showing from Mr. Daniel Jones. And hoping next week that we'll see some more from him. Hopefully he gets going a little bit more against the Broncos as well. And I'm really excited to see what happens with Daniel Jones in the future with this Colts team. Maybe a playoff team, but it's way too early to decide that. But yeah, Daniel Jones with a historic debut for the Indianapolis Colts. And then one of our next headlines is the Washington Commanders handled the Giants, extending their dominance despite penalties. I mean, a lot of penalties for the Commanders, a lot of unsportsmanlike conduct penalties for Washington, and that's something coaching discipline I think can get done in the week. But yeah, the Commanders actually play tomorrow night against the Packers, and yeah, the Packers coming off of a big win as well against the Lions, in front of 20 million viewers on CBS, but it's the biggest audience since 1998 for an opener on CBS. But yeah, I think the Packers and Commanders this Thursday, actually tomorrow, it's going to be an outstanding game, and I think it should be good. Should be like definitely one of those games where if you're playing fantasy, you got a lot of players playing. It's going to be a good one for you. And then one of our next headlines is the Bills. I mean, I know a lot of people were like pissed about this for fantasy, but the Bills pulled off a comeback win over the Ravens. And I mean, just a great game by Josh Allen. Josh Allen fails to never disappoint me. I mean, like, he's a guy that I'm like, I don't think will ever get injured because, like, he's just so big. Like, I mean, he's just a big, broad guy. And Josh Allen's just amazing. I mean, just able to pull off a huge win, 41-38, and a really good win for the Bills, and pulled off a huge comeback against the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. But yeah, Bills going to play the Jets next week, so really interested to see if Allen's able to air it out a lot more against the Jets team that did impress a lot of people week 1, but still lost to the Steelers. And then another headline, the Friday game in Brazil, Patrick Mahomes becomes the youngest QB to 246 regular season TDs. And week 2 matchup against the Eagles carries high stakes. Playing the Eagles next week, Mahomes got to be ready. Got to have his A game, especially losing the Super Bowl to the Eagles this past year, but did not look good against the Chargers at all. Almost came back, but LA was able to maintain the lead and continue doing what Justin Herbert does best is contain those leads against some big teams. Justin Herbert's been pretty good against big teams the past few years. So yeah, Chargers get the win on Friday night in Sao Paulo, Brazil. But yeah, huge win for the Chargers. But Patrick Mahomes did not look his best. But we'll see what he does week 2 against the Eagles in a huge Super Bowl rematch game. And obviously, the Bills emerge as the Super Bowl favorite, plus 600, I believe, according to FanDuel, while the Chiefs are rare home underdogs against the Eagles this weekend. So, yeah, that will do it for NFL, just week 1 recap. We will be recapping week 2 next week. But, yeah, before we end the show today, it was actually brought on the news today that a former analyst and political speaker, Charlie Kirk, has passed away at the age of 31 years old. Had a wife and a kid. And I just want to take a moment of, to say, like, Charlie Kirk was a really good guy. I'm not going to get into any politics or anything, but Charlie Kirk, really good guy. And it's sad to see, gun violence like this in our world. And I just hope that, prayers continue to go out to his family. And I hope that, Charlie knows that everybody loved him as a person. And he was just such an amazing leader and he was just a great human being. And I just wanted to take a moment to, highlight that because really sad news coming out of Utah Valley State today with the passing of Charlie Kirk. But that will do it for episode 20 of the Halftime Sports Talk Show. Again, I'm your host, Reese Kinder. And college football, I'm glad it's back. We continue to cover college football. Hopefully we're going to get some locker room interviews soon with Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze. I don't know yet. I'm trying to get press passes and everything. But yeah, that will do it for episode 20 of the Halftime Sports Talk Show. We'll be back again next week to highlight week 3 of the college football season, and, the new AP poll as well, and recap NFL week 2. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and y'all stay safe.